Yeah, second gear high is what it used to do for a top speed. That is much, much better. I think we definitely have a ramming speed for plowing this year. I think the 6-inch pulley was perfect. I did find out later after doing some research, you can buy the Phoenix 6-inch pulley without having to make one right directly off Amazon for like 20 bucks. So I'll post a link for that down below.
Baby due to pop out any moment now, 48 hours till the first snowstorm of the year potentially. Why wouldn't we rip apart our entire primary plow tractor? Why did I put it off until now? Well, because I'm a guy and that's what we do. Here's the real reality on all of these tractors of this nature. These horizontal shaft units, they eventually end up with the 90-degree belt system ends up contorting or getting screwballed or whatever. And this one's managed to eat a bearing out of one of these idlers for the third time in about 4 years. And I've cracked it in half twice. I've re-welded it. And now it's at the point where something is out of whack and it eats a belt just about every 3 months. So we're ripping the entire thing out. We're going to rip this off. We're going to rip this out. We're going to rip out everything to do with this. We're going to rotate the whole engine. We're going to drop the engine all the way down. We're going to run the belt system through where it ought to be in the first place anyway. And then on top of that, the snow conditions here in Maine have changed a lot in the last few years. We end up with a lot more icy conditions than we used to, so you need to get a running start while you're plowing. And 8 miles per hour is just not much of a running start. So we're going to go from the stock, I think it's a 3.5 inch, to this Speeco, which I order from Blaine, I believe it's Blaine Farm Supplies. They're not a sponsor of the channel, but I send everybody there because this entire setup is cheaper than the entire hub at Tractor Supply or on Amazon. These hubs off of there are like, I think they're like $6-7. The pulley was like $6 or $7. Yes, they're not quite as good quality, but you can buy 5 for the price of 1 at Tractor Supply. Okay, we got engine out. Now to bring you guys up to speed, so here is what we were using for a dry pulley, just like they do stock when these things are an opposed twin. Now let's explain why it is that we did it this way. I wanted to show you could install the DuroMax and still maintain being able to cut grass with this thing. And so the right angle assembly, which is down in here that you can see I've had to weld in some braces in the past, is so that the belt goes down and loops under all of this stuff that has to do with the grass cutting. So I'm about to slice all of that out of there, because once that engine is here and the pulley is right about here, that belt has got to run through right in here, right where this bar is. So I'm going to slice all that out. I just wanted you guys to see why it is that I was doing it. Let's kill off some of the Go Power Sports YouTuber misconceptions that have been created over the years. This is a big block plate from OMB Warehouse. You can buy these on Amazon, and it will bolt up perfectly fine on the bottom of this DuroMax. This will bolt up because the DuroMax actually has 2 sets of bolt patterns underneath it. It has a thinner one and it has a wider one. So do not spend extra if you don't need to on one that has 6 slots in it, because you really actually only need this one. I chose to do the wider pattern because I figured it was stronger where I was putting it up on a pedestal here. Here's basically everything that we removed so far. This is everything to do with the deck assembly and lift. Apparently we had an old solenoid in there that I never pulled the last rebuild. There's the engine mounts that we made. There's the battery tray, which will probably be going back in, but I pulled it because it makes it easier for access and to show you guys stuff. And this is the right angle bunch of strange geometry that the moment it gets even remotely skewed, you end up eating belts. And these are discontinued. They're a big giant pain in the neck. And the other thing I've realized with these over the years is that this is a warehouse part that I ordered, and you can see how nice and tight that it fits on those. Whereas modern pulleys, they cut corners and they don't quite make them big enough, and so it'll start throwing belts even though you ordered the correct size pulley. And they just turn into a giant hassle, so that's why we're getting away from this. Over here, I did figure out that the steering issue is most likely that the fan retainer adjuster came loose. As you can see, it's all over the place. So we're going to tighten that up and see if that solves the issue. And then, as soon as that's done, we will start lining up the engine and figure out where it's going to go. It almost looks reasonable. So right now we've got the 6-inch pulley just sitting there so that we can see the belt route. If we come around this direction, we can see down in there it's riding on top of that, but only by just a little itty bitty amount. So we're probably going to cut into that with the plasma cutter and then weld a piece in across to hold this, and then cut the rest of it out so that there's no way it's going to cause any problems. But before we do that, we've got a bigger quibble, which is that no matter how we set this clutch, right there we're hitting on the belt as it comes through with the keeper. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is unbolt the two of those, lift this assembly up, and then bolt it back in so that we should be able to get that up. And then we'll relocate the engine again according to that. And the good thing about this unit is it still has the brake lock in it. So right now I've got it on the very first tick of the brake lock system so that I can gauge about 50% clutch. I get asked all the time, at what point should you buy a plasma cutter? Like this Hitbox or like this Best Arc that I have and stuff like that. When you start doing stuff like this that requires multiple drill holes, multiple uses of the grinder, sitting there with files to finish out the hole and everything, and you don't need pretty, you just need done. This took 5 minutes with the plasma cutter. If I had it done drill hole, 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 cut, 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 you get the point. Sit there with a file and mess with it, make it perfect, blah, blah, blah. I'd be here an hour. And time is money. You need to think about that. And that's when you upgrade to a plasma cutter. Anyways, we got the clutch assembly lifted roughly about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Well, about 1.25 inches here and about 2 inches here. Yet again, plasma cutter. I drilled that wrong. It was off by a little bit. Plasma cut out a slide. All done. Well, let's drop the engine on after we fix this little piece right here. Over on RCG Racing, somebody commented that they take and they low-speed test with a bump starter all of their belt system and to make sure their clutch is working. I thought that was brilliant. Let's diagnose what's wrong with this. Alright, if we watch this lower section, it comes down, it sits on the piece of metal, it's happy, it comes to a stop. But if we watch this upper section, it does the whole noodle thing, which is causing it to slap on the drive pulley, and that's the reason why it never comes to a full stop. So let's fix it. Kill tether engaged. Let's see if we can manage to test out the belt system. So in neutral, give it a bump. Give it some choke.
Okay, give it some clutch. I don't like how much this is rising. That worries me. So I think we are going to put in another retainer right about here so that it can't jump like that. Alright, big thank you to Jesse for shooting the video here while we try and start this thing up. And hopefully we fix the gas issue that we had. Okay, it's cold. I should probably give it some choke.
Oh, Jesus. Run.
Yeah, second gear high is what I used to do for a top speed. That is much, much better. I think we definitely have a ramming speed for plowing this year. I think the 6-inch pulley was perfect. I did find out later after doing some research, you can buy the Phoenix 6-inch pulley without having to make one right directly off Amazon for like 20 bucks. So I'll post a link for that down below. And otherwise than that, it is stock clutch, just relocated just a little bit. I do need to make an exhaust thing to offshoot this. I noticed while it was running in the garage that the exhaust coming into here was kind of making this a little extra warm. Otherwise than that, I am stoked. This is a much better setup than what I had before for plowing. This old beast is like from 1982 and she still goes really good. 83. I don't know. Somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong. You tell me what year this supposedly is, because the seat is a John Deere, the bracket is an MTD, the rear fenders are supposedly an 83, the chassis supposedly is an 82, the transmission is a swap out from another machine that I have no idea what it was. So you tell me what to call it. Have a good day.